Hi folks, it's Coach Kelvin here from the We Run Virtual Run Club and We Run Coach for Leeds and surrounding areas as well as online coaching. In this video, I'm going to answer a question that was asked by Anne through the Ask a Coach tab in the app. And that was Anne's doing the London Marathon. She's run intermittently and she's just wondering where to start in terms of training plans. And in terms of London Marathon, it's 38 weeks away at the moment. But in terms of training, that's actually quite close. And I don't really know much about your training, Anne, so feel free to drop me an email off the back of this video with a little bit more detail, and I'll try to sort of answer your question a little bit more specifically. But for now, I'm just going to generalize. So the first thing we need to do if we're going to either start training again after a break or train towards something specific is we need to find a starting point. And that starting point needs to apply enough training load where a runner develops, but not too much training load, where a runner might experience plateaus in fitness, niggles and injuries, or just feeling like just too tired all the time. And one of the big challenges that we have as runners and coaches is that overtraining generally manifests itself after about 3 to 4 months. It doesn't sort of happen straight away. So this is where reflecting on your training history is really important. And if I have a new customer, that's what I want to do is look at their training history. And we normally look to see how much a runner's been doing in the last 3 months. But there are exceptions. We might have runners that haven't run for various reasons in the last 3 months, but they know from training history that they can build up quite quickly to a certain volume and they will be able to handle that. So it's really about looking at what you've done before and how it worked, and to a certain degree what you've done in the last 3 months. And then what I kind of think of is looking at a marathon training plan, and there's some great ones in the app. I think most of them are written by Coach Alexa, and look at the sort of time scale of that and look at where that starts and where you are now as a runner. So we need to find a starting point, and that could be anything from couch to 5K all the way up to maybe even just getting some bespoke advice from a coach about sort of a base building phase. So we need to bridge where we are now to the start of that plan. And what's quite interesting, that a lot of the plans have a little bit of intensity in there. So it really depends if you plan to add that intensity into your running. If you plan to add the intensity in when you roll into the race specific plan, the ideal is to be running slightly more volume than the plan starts at when you hit the plan. So in other words, nice easy volume up to when the plan starts, but then be able to drop the volume a little bit to give you capacity to handle those workouts. If you're just looking at a training plan that doesn't have any intensity in there, you can just use those plans as like a volume guide, or again, maybe speak to one of the coaches. Maybe book a one-to-one call, or maybe look for a sort of personal, like a bespoke training plan, which are available through We Run. So please let us know if you want some prices for those sending across. So that starting point is really individual, and feel free to send me a little bit more detail, Anne, and I'll pop you an email back with a little bit more specific guidance. But the main thing is to look back at the last 3 months of training and see what a runner has been doing, and also maybe a bit further than back than that if we know what a runner is capable of doing. So I hope that goes some way to answer your question, Anne. But please drop me an email with a little bit more detail, and I'll definitely be able to give you a more specific answer. And if anybody else has any questions about what I've just talked about, please pop them down in the comments below. And for now, happy running!